Our country is democratic, and elections are the lifeblood of any democratic institution. Elections are held every 5 years in India. Elections were scheduled to be held last year to elect a new MLA. Candidates from various political parties were competing. The parties were canvassing for votes in support of their respective candidates. A father could be seen canvassing for one party while his son was canvassing for the other. All canvassing was halted the day before the election. The parties set their camp a short distance from the voting site. They possessed voter lists for their respective zones. Voters were flocking to the tents of their preferred political parties. They were being assisted by the personnel. The personnel assisted them in locating their serial numbers and provided them with ballot forms to aid them in voting. The U.S. has announced that it will withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. The United Nations has been informed, formally enforcing a decision made by President Trump in June. The State Department, on the other hand, stated that the United States will continue to participate in climate change discussions until the withdrawal process was finished. According to new research, weather-related calamities in Europe might kill more than 150,000 people per year by the end of the century. According to a European Commission research, heat waves are responsible for 99% of all weather-related deaths on the continent. The character of a nation's people determines its fate. Tomorrow's children are today's youngsters. Today's youngsters should not only be taught about essential values, but also encouraged to make a commitment to upholding them in real life through practice. It is the first basic phase in school instruction, when moral principles are instilled through a well-structured study of books. Because stories are secular in nature, they provide significant insight into all religions. Moral science not only aids in the installation of positive moral principles, but also aids in the differentiation of good from evil. It shapes our character, personality, and teaches us proper etiquette and manners, resulting in a happy and healthy life.
air pollution is an issue which concerns us all alike. One can willingly choose or reject a food, a drink or a life comfort. But unfortunately, there is little choice for the air we breathe. Everything there in the air is inhaled by all living in those surroundings. Air pollutant is defined as a substance which is present in an amount exceeding the normal concentrations. It could either be gaseous or a particulate matter. The important and harmful polluting gases are carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, ozone and oxides of sulfur and nitrogen. The common particulate pollutants are the dust of various inorganic or organic origins. Exercise is like fertilizer for your brain. All those hours spent on exercising your muscles create rich capillary beds not only in leg and hip muscles, but also in your brain. More blood vessels in your brain and muscles mean more oxygen and nutrients to help them work. When you pedal, you also force more nerve cells to fire. The result? You double or triple the production of these cells, literally building your brain. You also release neurotransmitters, the messengers between your brain cells. So all those cells, new and old, can communicate with each other for better, faster functioning. That's a pretty profound benefit to cyclists. The indefinite period of time that it takes for the average plastic bag to break down can be literally hundreds of years. Every bag that ends up in the woodlands of the country threatens the natural progression of wildlife. Because the breakdown rate is so slow, the chances that the bag will harmlessly go away are extremely slim. Throughout the world, plastic bags are responsible for the suffocation deaths of woodland animals as well as for inhibiting soil nutrients. The land litter that is made up of plastic bags has the potential to kill over and over again. It has been estimated that one bag has the potential to unintentionally kill one animal every 3 months due to unintentional digestion or inhalation. A daily walk has always been a source of inspiration. For many artists, a regular stroll was essentially a creative inspiration. Charles Dickens famously took 3-hour walks every afternoon, and what he observed on them fed directly into his writing. Tchaikovsky could make do with a 2-hour jaunt but wouldn't return a moment early, convinced that doing so would make him ill. Ludwig van Beethoven took lengthy strolls after lunch, carrying a pencil and paper with him in case inspiration struck. Many great people had limited social life too. One of Simone de Beauvoir's close friends puts it this way: "There were no receptions, parties. It was an uncluttered kind of life, a simplicity deliberately constructed so that she could do her work." The new year is a time for resolutions. Mentally, at least, most of us could compile formidable lists of do's and don'ts. The same old favorites recur year in and year out with monotonous regularity. We resolve to get up earlier each morning, eat less, find more time to play with the children, do 1,001 jobs about the house, be nice to people we don't like, drive carefully and take the dog for a walk every day. Past experience has taught us that certain accomplishments are beyond attainment. If we remain deep-rooted liars, it is only because we have so often experienced the frustration that results from failure. Most of us fail in our efforts at self-improvement because our schemes are too ambitious and we never have time to carry them out.
Last summer, I spent days in the garden watching thousands of ants crawling up the trunk of my prize of peach tree. The tree has grown against a warm well on a sheltered side of the house. I am especially proud of it, not only because it has survived several severe winters, but because it occasionally produces luscious peaches. During the summer I noticed that the leaves of the tree were beginning to wither. Clusters of tiny insects called aphis were to be found on the underside of the leaves. They were visited by a large colony of ants which obtained a sort of honey from them. I immediately embarked on an experiment which, even though it failed to get rid of the ants, kept me fascinated for 24 hours. Computers will also be used in ordinary public hospitals. By providing a machine with a patient's system, a doctor will be able to diagnose the nature of his illness. Similarly, machines could be used to keep a check on a patient's health record and bring it up to date. Doctors will, therefore, have immediate access to great many facts which will help them in their work. Bookkeepers and accountants too could be relieved of dull clerical work. For the tedious task of compiling, and checking lists or figures could be done entirely by machines. Computers are the most efficient servant man has ever had, and there is no limit to the way they can be used to improve our lives. We live in an age of wonders and miracles. It has been called the age of science, and different aspects of our life that changed in the preceding centuries have been attributed to science. This is completely true, but it is only one side of the coin. The flip side is that as we have advanced more in the field of technology, something fundamental to humanity has been left behind. Values such as empathy and concern for our fellow human beings are gradually being eroded due to the onslaught of our ever-evolving lifestyles, aided by the marvels of technological advancements. Take the example of the Internet. On the other hand, it has severely limited actual contact with teachers, friends and elders. The notion that the 21st century is full of greed is one that is easy to arrive at. Today we have more material comfort than we probably know what to do with, and a great divide in the incomes that people earn. Yet, we are in a time when more people are giving to charity than ever before. In the past few years, those who can, have started donating generously to multiple causes. There exist NGOs and charities that help people with everything from getting back onto their feet after a natural disaster to curing terminal illnesses. What is important to note is not just that these charities exist, but that there is an increasing number of people giving generously towards various causes. I strongly feel that aggression and sledging are not essential part of sports. Sports are meant to test one's physical and mental endurance. Their purpose is not to incite people to get involved in brawls or altercations leading to scuffles. My opponents call sledging legitimate, but I hereby submit that people who become aggressive and start sledging are those who don't understand the spirit of sports and sportsmanship. If one has to win a game, one must do it by the dint of their skill or excellence in performance. So for me, sledging is nothing but an immoral and vile way to annoy your opponent. My dear friends, I would like to ask whether sledging really add fun to the game?
TV news that strive towards authentic and fast reportage is always at the risk of fabricating its content to continue being in circulation. The governing principle for the 24 hours news format is that whether or not a new constitute the element of worthiness, it should be covered on the channel. If there is nothing worth reporting, then the content can be made sensational just to gain currency. It tends to become repetitive and dull. Scandals are allowed to become news and popularity becomes the main objective. The ambition of TV news to be the sole guardian of objective truth in the field of journalism can be considered to be a tall claim, as more often than not it becomes a site for promotion of commercial products and sensational content in the garb of news. The deprived sections of the society were not given equal right and opportunities. It is only after independence that the Constitution has given importance to the deprived sections by introducing reservation for them. This is a boon for the weaker sections as it gives them the opportunity to excel in the fields of education and get their desired jobs. Getting a seat in a professional college is not easy. A sound financial stability is needed to join the coaching institutes and to get good books and material. The people belonging to the deprived sections lack this monetary support. India is still considered as one of the developing nations. The destiny of a nation depends on the character of its people. Today's children are tomorrow's future. The children of today should not only be made aware of core value thoughts but also should be encouraged to the commitment to upholding them in real life through practice. It is the first basic step in education at school, where through a well-structured study of books, moral values are imparted. Being secular in character, valuable insight is provided in all religions through stories. Moral science not only helps us in imbibing good moral values but also enables us to differentiate between good and evil. It molds our character, personality, and equips us with good etiquette and manners, making our lives happy and wholesome. That brings us to the CEO's second duty, building everyone, or more accurately, building the senior team. All the executives report to the CEO, so it's the CEO's job to hire, fire, and manage the executive team. From coaching CEOs, I actually think this is the most important skill of all. Because when a CEO hires an excellent senior team, that team can keep the company running. When a CEO hires a poor senior team, the CEO is up spending all of their time trying to do with the team, and not nearly enough time trying to do with other elements of their job. The senior team can and often does develop the strategy for the company, but ultimately it's always the CEO who has the final go-no-go decision on strategy.